Hello everyone, Smothered Run again. Episode 2 of my Jool 5 challenge. This is the first of 3 refueling missions. And basically it's the same boosters and center core made up the boosters for the actual Vimy, just without all the strap-on solid rocket boosters, and it still lifts off like a tank. This is 4 times regular speed, by the way. Guess I had a thing about low thrust to weight ratio. And here's what I noticed, that I forgot to add fuel ducts. So I have to manually cross-feed in order to pre-drain those external boosters. And I decided at this point I wasn't going to try to reshoot it, I'm just going with it. Bill forgot to check the schematics before building it. This is on Bill. He's probably going to be the first one to try to land on Tylo because of that. And a word of warning to anyone watching this. I am exploring a little bit further with Power Director's editing tools, so this episode I got heavy on the fades, and no idea what anyone else thinks, so we'll find out, I guess. Nice to see that the lag hasn't gone anywhere. Some people might be asking, why did I even bother having a launch escape system, even a command module on this? The original design for this refueling vessel had the top first stage being a possible escape module for the Vimy for the 2 crew that were on board. In fact, there was actually supposed to be 2 crew on this rocket. Just for reasons unknown, I decided to put them on the first launch instead of on the refueler, so don't really need the command module for this part. In order to keep this episode as brief as possible, I am accelerating all the way through and hacking up unnecessarily long bits of refueling, because this refueling mission, there's 2 launches in this episode, and they both took a long time to empty their fuel based on the lag and just the sheer volume of fluid. So, I mean fuel, haha. So anyways, you're going to see lots of hacking and cutting. It's going to look more cut up than a Hollywood action movie, but that's fine. Everyone's used to that anyways. And here's one of the first looks at the lathe space plane. For now, just called the ASET, based on the Coatl Aerospace command module that's attached to it, named the ASET. And that command module seats 3. I'm probably going to send only 2 Kerbals down to lathe. Again, in order to qualify for level 3 of the challenge, I'm going to have to make sure I send at least 1 unique Kerbal to each of Jool's moons. And since all of the vehicles can take a minimum of 2, I think actually a minimum of 3, there's going to be at least 2 going to each moon. And I think you got a glimpse of the Tylo lander. Here's a better look at it, minus not being able to see anything because the window's in the way. On the right, you just saw the Buffalo space truck. Can't think of another name for it. It is from the Buffalo mod. It does look like a space truck, so it's the Buffalo space truck. I know, that's original. So here we're just getting rid of this stage. Gonna try to dump it back down, but I don't think I have the fuel. So anyways, we're firing away and gonna try to at least ditch it into the lower atmosphere so that eventually it can orbitally decay and crash land. And transferring the monopropellant, that was another tedious exercise in monotony, but it did get done. And I decided, yep, you know what, space plane, don't need a lifeboat. They can get out the airlock and get to the space plane and leave, so that's fine. Or through the magic of crew transfer, they can get to the space plane if something really goes wrong. So anyways, bye-bye. It's about 7 days later. I think it was a little late. Launch window's now at 37 days and a handful of hours. Here's the second refueling mission. Again on a modular launch pads. Just horsing around with my apoapsis and periapsis, and we're going to again glaze over a lot of this because why? There we go, perfect rendezvous. Might be a little bit fast. Yep, lag. So much fun. Right off in the little distance, just set against Kerbin, and the last time you'll ever see those clouds in an episode, we have a problem. I discovered something. I have no food. This was concerning, because I knew I packed food, and the two Kerbals on board don't seem to think they know what happened to the food, and we can't find any crumbs anywhere, so clearly they didn't eat everything, a la Gollum and Sam. So, yeah, and I noticed the food keeps disappearing, and disappearing. It's not just a time warp thing. So I decide right after I get this thing docked, I decide to go to the Google machine. While we're watching this riveting refueling action, not in reverse, I decided to take a look at the forums in between play sessions and track down the problem of the disappearing food to be an interaction between NERTY's Station Parts Expansion Redux, and that's the greenhouse, TAC Life Support, and Community Resource Pack. Turns out, when you have all three installed, the greenhouse has, as you can see in the resource window when it's flashing, an entry for minerals. So in order to generate food, you need a certain number of minerals per unit of food. In order to generate minerals, it uses a lot of food per unit. So I ended up poking around in the configs, and can't remember off the top of my head which one it was, but I changed the value a little bit of the amount of food per hour needed to make a unit of minerals. Basically, I added a few extra zeros behind the decimal place because at one point, or at the original patch is using, I think, several tenths or hundredths units of food per hour to make a unit of minerals, along with everything else it needs. And I added it to now take a millionth or several hundred thousandths to make a unit of food. Basically, the mineral generation, or the food depletion while you're generating minerals, should be much slower. I'm testing it out currently in another save, and we'll see what happens. I might just put a comment out a bunch of stuff about needing food to make minerals. I don't quite understand where that requirement comes from. I'm still looking through the TAC and Community Resource Pack pages to figure out the reasoning behind it. But once I do, we'll be fine. The third refueling mission already has a new pallet of food added onto it, and I'm also going to see if I can get a number of minerals in there as well, just to make sure that I don't have to use up my existing food in order to make more minerals in order to make more food, if that makes sense. So anyways, we're done refueling. We're just going to send this stage back, and I leave you with a musical interlude and some space ballet.